I don't know about you, but it feels good to be back in Ohio. Today's spotlight is the Akron Zoo's Grizzly Ridge. The 2013 built 3-acre, $12 million project replaced a good chunk of the still existing wild prairie section. The ridge traverses on a steep uphill grade through the middle of the zoo. The theme celebrates the headlining wildlife of Ohio's present and historic past. So if you live in this region or in a similar environment, we'll be meeting animals that may be very common and very close to you, but you wouldn't even know it. So, let's begin. Anticipation grows with each step as you head up, since the first exhibits are in view even before you reach the entrance. Enclosed in a natural backdrop of birches and arbs, they're not so bald eagles. So why the name? Well, there's a few answers, but one of them is bald comes from the adjective piebald, meaning something that's composed of 2 colors. The zoo says they have 6, the most I've ever seen in a bunch. 3 males, 3 females that have all sustained serious injuries in the wild, preventing them from flight, and therefore, of course, they wouldn't survive in the wild. Up next is a section that requires a little more than just a simple push to enter. This is the Grizzly Ridge Aviary, a 2-story viewing deck. Designed as a treehouse, it's suspended 16 feet in the air, giving you an overlook of some of the zoo's other areas. Because it's built on a hillside, it makes you seem you're much higher than you actually are. You're invited to meet over 20 small Ohio native birds, like the eastern bluebird, rose-breasted grosbeak, gray catbirds, Downy woodpeckers, song sparrows, and the classic Cardinal. But you can also look at all this from below off of the entry path, where you could get a better view of their wild turkeys and blue-winged teals. Though the aviary brings you in the trees, the path continues to wind up even higher in the canyon, and before you know it, you're confronting what gave the area its name, the grizzly bear. Generally known to venture the northwest, fossil records from a prehistoric age indicate a type or several types of brown bears lived in this area, fulfilling the theme of displaying Ohio's past. Now remember, on episode 82, I mentioned 2 bears we would eventually come across. Well, this is Jackson and Cheyenne. Every year, wild grizzly cubs are orphaned when their mothers are injured, pass away, or are removed because they pose a threat to the public. Sadly, the third option was the case for these siblings, since their mother became too accustomed to reliant on food from humans. They came from Wyoming, stopped by Cleveland, and eventually made their way to Akron for the Ridge's grand opening. Their home is by far the zoo's largest. It has upward terrain, and again is densely framed by native trees. It can be observed from 2 viewing huts, one that's connected to their pool, and the other at the hill's peak. All of this makes it one of the most suitable homes for any woodland bear. From the second shelter, you'll come to a plaza, complete with buildings reminiscent of the 1850s, and within it is everyone's favorite, the North American river otters. One of the world's most active and playful animal, and this allows them to show off their charisma and dynamic maneuvers under the surface. Designers took advantage of the natural topography and created varied landscape to keep these aquatic weasel relatives busy. The central visitor area provides an unbroken view of the whole exhibit since it's surrounded from 3 sides. You can always catch them sunbathing in the grass, where otters usually spend 2/3 of their time. Obviously, watch them swim from here right in front of you, and from a perspective located in between the bear shelters, showing the true depth of their pool. But of course, its best feature is a clear slide that passes through it, that everyone of all ages can enjoy. On their left is a porch enclosure with 2 pens, meant for rotating birds, but I've always seen the same animals. In the right part, the suspicious eastern screech owl. They come in 2 color phases, gray and rufous. Grays inhabit and blend in well with oak trees, while rufous, or the ones with reddish patterns, prefer pines. The zoo displays both. On their left, you can find their neighbors on the ground. The highly sociable northern bobwhite, a quail once common, is seeing a population decline of their own due to pesticides and herbicides from agriculture. Across what was slated to be a second bear yard is home to a very special animal. Sadly, they didn't show on my first visit, but on my second, the zoo's red wolves were as active as can be. I call them special for an unfortunate reason. They naturally occurred across South Central and the eastern United States, but by the early 20th century, they were decimated as a result of predator control programs. To undo that, efforts were initiated in the 70s under the Endangered Species Act. To give you some perspective on how that's going, males Waya and Mohe are two of about 250 red wolves in human care. But as of 2020, only 20 are known to live in the wild, and only in a small part in North Carolina, earning them the title as the world's most endangered wolf. Now let's see what was running behind them. Again, a well-shaded forest, once stomping grounds for bald eagles, today for coyotes, a close relative to the gray wolf. Yet they actually prefer to hunt alone or in pairs rather than packs. Kaliska and her brother Shiloh are exhibited next to the red wolves, not because of what they have in common, but for their differences, since some often confuse the two with one another. Though in terms of numbers, coyotes are far more lucky, thanks to their highly adaptable nature, especially when it comes to us changing their environment. They're widespread through almost all of North America, from Panama to Alaska, and there are actually efforts to prevent overpopulation. Needless to say, the Grizzly Ridge changed the direction of this small zoo, making it a more respectable park and one that is now worth visiting multiple times. From the ridge, you can continue uphill until you reach their new Pride of Africa, but the next time we're in Akron, we'll explore what will be even newer than that.